Sponsored by Transitions Empowerment.
Welcome to another episode of Ballin VA. I mean, this is another pleasure with another great guest from the Richmond area, the 804 representing again. We have the 2000 Gatorade State Player of the Year in Virginia. She was a state champion at Midlothian High School, a four-year starter at UVA. She has 15 years of experience coaching. Need I say any more? We have the one and only Miss Anna Prillaman. Anna, thank you so much for spending some time with us tonight.
Thanks for having me. I'm ready to go down memory lane.
We hope so, because it goes back pretty far. We want to just start out, where it all began for you in the Richmond area. I know you have an athletic family, but when did sports become part of your life?
From the beginning. I mean, my parents talk about when I was, at preschool, 2 and 3 years old, and they had to do the test. Hey, kid, dribble this ball for, you think it happens for like 5 seconds, and I was doing it for 20, 30 seconds. My dad was an athlete. I got dogs in the back, guys, so if they're bothering you, I'll let them out. My dad was an athlete. He played football at U.V.A.After. My brother played football at VMI. I had a sister that ran cross country at William and Mary. I mean, it was just sports constantly. So I don't remember a time in life where we weren't playing, watching, commenting, doing the stuff y'all are doing right now, talking crap back and forth. That was our house.
Yeah, you doing GOAT things. I mean, you got your hand in some of everything. So now we know where it come from.
Yep. That's the family. That's my daddy. He would talk to you for hours, Larry. I mean, hours. That guy.
See, I'm surprised I hadn't come past him at a game or something. I'm sitting front row or somewhere in that gym, so somebody gonna find me.
He'll come every now and again. He's incognito now, but back in the day, he was the man when he walked into a gym. Chat.
That's awesome.
Oh, see, he'd have been my guy. We would have been chopping it up for real.
For sure.
Good stories too. But we talked about it off camera, Anna, about how you played so many different sports growing up, and ultimately basketball was your number one choice at the end. But just talk about playing other sports besides basketball. I know you talked about cross country and tennis, and how that helped you develop into a good basketball player.
Yeah, I mean, our parents were those people who put us in everything growing up, and it wasn't just sports. We tried the piano route, we did all that stuff. But once I got to high school, it was tennis and cross country in the fall for a couple of years, and of course basketball in the winter. Then I'd run track in the spring, and then I messed around and went to volleyball in the fall for sophomore and junior year, and then back to tennis and cross country. But obviously basketball was always stagnant. But I feel like I hate that if there's one thing that really bothers me about today's generation, and I can get grumpy about a lot of stuff, trust me, it's the specialization. I think it's crazy that parents are specializing their kids, especially at a young age. Now, I understand if you're Mr. This or Miss That, when you get to the junior, senior year, you really got to focus in. But I think, the relationships that I got playing all those sports, that's invaluable. I mean, great. I was just texting with, you'll laugh at this, Larry, one of the wide receivers for Benedictine, his mother is my doubles tennis partner in high school. So Trinity's playing Benedictine in football next week, and I'm on the text message talking crap to her back and forth.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Why would you not want your kid to experience these lifelong relationships you can get from other sports? And then I think, I want to say, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, that I was known for being mentally tough back then and cerebral about the game. And I think that I was able to do that because I didn't put a lot of pressure on myself, because on the weekend I was over on the tennis courts hitting the ball around with good friends, and trust me, I worked hard at basketball. I don't want to make that sound like I was just gift from God and I did my thing. I worked really hard at it, but softball, tennis, I mean, all that stuff was constant. Jogging and running, like that was just constantly doing stuff like that, and that helps your game. You couldn't get me tired. I mean, playing basketball, especially at that age. I was running cross country. Tennis is a cardio sport.
Yes.
And I played that seriously for a while. So God, parents, please keep your kids playing multiple sports. It doesn't mean they can't get that college D1 scholarship somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you think that brought that on? Is it entitlement, or what is it about?
I wonder if it was the club scene getting as big as it's gotten. Yeah. You talk AAU basketball back then. There were two programs in town. It was the James River Blaze. Well, we were the Rapids, and then James River High School was built, and then came the Blaze, and then Gene Atkins ran the Blue Angels. And now it's huge and everybody knows basketball and all the parents are starting their own organizations. And so there's money in it now. So it's pushing a ton more kids into that club world, which makes you want to specialize. So you've got kids specializing in sports like basketball that don't have a chance in heck, try not to cuss.
No,
you're fine. You're good.
No, you're fine on here. You can do that if you need to.
Yeah, they don't
let it out. Go ahead. Be on me, by all means.
And they might be able to walk on and I don't want to take anything away from that or play at a really low level, but you're spending so much money and time for a pipe dream that just doesn't exist because it's all hyped up so much. And you got people that don't know the game in your ear because they want your money and they want to fill a roster telling you how great your kid is. And it's just not, it's not reality. So maybe that's why, I don't know. I mean, that's off the top of my head. That's the only thing I could think of because it's just really out of control. Speaking specifically to basketball, I bet you softball, volleyball, soccer, I bet they're all the same. It's gotten out of control.
I think you're right. I think a lot of times, the parents, they see their kids as this blue chip 5-star recruit that can't do any wrong. Once somebody tells them they're going to this camp where all the big time recruits go, and then all of a sudden everything else, all the other sports just shut down. They just they want to get to that level where they can only play a year or two in college, and they want the fastest route to the NBA or the major leagues or whatever. You know what I mean? So yeah, I agree with you. I think, back in the day, we all played different sports and we all enjoyed them. We did them for fun. We knew what our main sport was, but we just always just wanted to be active and play other sports just to have fun with our friends. I agree with you totally on that.
Yeah, you saw that the other day with the kid was saying stuff to camp at his camp, and crazy, trying to go viral, So then my thing was, where was the parents? Like Cam kept asking for the dad, and he telling the man, oh, you washed up and free agent. I'm like, come on.
That goes to that self-entitlement we've been talking about for a long time. Just
and it's
with
starting at such a younger age.
Social media, whole social media thing. So yeah, we talked about your active self at a young age. Let's fast forward to when you get to high school. You're still playing those different sports, correct? You're still playing all the three.
Yep.
So you get to Midlothian, and we talked to Tiffany Bauer. We talked off camera about how Midlothian was always a big rival, and again, the girls in the Dominion District, the girls team in the Dominion District, it was loaded from, I would say, like the late 80s to like a little bit after you left, Anna. It was just always competitive for that 10 to 15 year stretch. Just talk about those battles in the Dominion District. When you first got there, when you first got to Midlothian, talk about some of those battles in the Dominion District.
Well, I'll talk about when I was in 8th grade first, and I wonder if Tiffany Bauer brought this up. It was Monacan versus Midlothian at the Arthur Ashe Center.
Of course.
Final game. I think it was a triple overtime game.
Yep, we talked about that.
She bring up the part where Katie Tracy picked her pocket to send it into.
Oh no,
we didn't know if it was Katie Tracy or not, was it?
I'm trying to remember, and I hope I'm not, changing the narrative here, but
I think we were trying to figure out if there was Katie Tracy or not.
Katie Tracy, we couldn't figure out
as a freshman picking the pocket of Tiffany Bauer, who I guess we all three of us ended up playing at UVA, didn't we?
Yeah,
that was it. Right? I mean, everyone says such negative things about the Arthur Ashe Center that it's all run down, but to me, that's like the Hoosiers gym to me.
Right.
I mean, those AAA regional finals. Oh my God, it was rocking in that place.
I know it was.
We'd always obviously play before the boys, and it'd be like John Marshall or Henrico or whoever after us. They always had a kicking band, and I held the place.
Yep. You got it. You got it down pat.
The energy of it. It was terrible lighting back then. It's terrible lighting now, but that thing was packed. When I got to Midlothian, I already knew. Yeah, right. It was so awesome.
About it. Okay. Yeah.
So Monacan was it. Still, they had a great team. LC Bird was on the fringe when I was there. They ended up being the best when I left. And then of course, James River was king right then. So it was just it took us a while to get over the hump and beat James River and become king eventually. But that you couldn't, short of maybe George Wythe, you couldn't take a night off in the Dominion District back then. And typically you have 2 Dominion District teams playing in the final.
Absolutely.
If Atlee and Henrico on a given year weren't there, those were the other 2. But the battles we had between James River and Midlothian, the gyms were packed. There was a story of them having to turn people away.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
I think about that at Trinity all the time.
And yeah,
Huh?
People don't come to girls' games. I'm like, yeah, they do.
But you know, the interesting thing about that is, didn't a lot of kids from like Midlothian go to James River? Because that school was that zone kind of, So
Katie Tracy that's what it was. Because
she went to Midlothian,
at Midlothian when Tiffany was a senior at Monacan. And then James River was built, and Katie had a choice whether to stay at Midlothian because her dad was a guidance counselor, or go to James River, and she decided to go to James River, and that broke all of our hearts.
Can you imagine you and Tracy? Oh my goodness.
There were years where it's like, if these two teams were combined, Kat Nicholson, Jay Marola, Liz Smith, then we were loaded. And then Monacan's best player ends up transferring over to us my senior year. That's why we won the state championship.
Oh, see, we didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, you're going to have to go into that. Yeah.
You remember the name Megan Dickerson?
I remember the name. Yep.
The name. Yeah. Wow.
Player. She was one of 10 kids, the oldest of 10. She's Mormon.
What?
And the family needed a bigger house, so they moved into a neighborhood around Midlothian, and everyone swore they moved because of basketball. But I'm telling you, that mother with 10 kids, she didn't give a rat's butt about girls basketball.
No, the houses in the Monacan district weren't that big.
I don't think they were that bigger. They were big enough for that.
No. And I live in the Monacan district now, so.
Unless it was Bexley or something.
It was a legit transfer.
Yeah, Bexley.
Everybody smelled a fish.
I'm sure. So
anyway.
Yeah, so just talk about that state title run. You said that you had battles and you finally got over the hump against James River, but I mean, going into that senior year, did you kind of think to yourself, this could be the year for us?
Yeah, we were loaded. Nader Ali, Adrian Marr, Megan Carney, Dina Floyd, and then Megan Dickerson transfers in. And I think one of the biggest things and I wasn't as aware of it as I am now, was making sure that Megan Dickerson and I didn't butt heads.
Right.
Coming from kind of 1 and 2 in the league before. And thank goodness we gelled. She's a good friend of mine. I don't remember ever being. The fact that I remember this actually means that I probably was feeling a certain way about it, because the first game we played, she got the headline in the paper.
Okay.
So I guess if I remember it, I did feel a certain way, but everything was fine.
Sure.
Everything.
Not necessarily.
Yeah. We shared the ball, and I think once we got over that hump, it was smooth sailing from there. It wasn't too much of a rocky road. We didn't have that many close games, honestly. I think that Godwin gave us a run for our money in the regular season, and then we had some wild tournament games, but it was Cinderella it was awesome from the start to finish.
When you got two good players like that, it don't take long to kind of you guys to gel. It's not even, sometimes that's not even necessarily about a talk, because I listened to when, when Jason Wade came over to Trinity and how that was going to play out with him being a 25-point scorer coming over to Trinity and how that worked out. And Jason told me, he said, well, I didn't want to step on nobody's toes, so I kind of waited till my turn to come. And we're like, no, man, we need you to do more. Right. So, so I can imagine what you guys went through. So with that, I mean, was it similar?
Yeah, because we're wanting to win first and foremost. Other than I mentioned the paper headline, but there wasn't Twitter back then and all this great, the extra attention where you had all these avenues to get your name out there. I wanted to win, and she did too. So I had no problem with somebody else averaging 24 points a game. So it was, once we realized this was going to work and we had a chance at hanging a banner, it was all good. And not taking anything away from the rest of the team. There were solid girls on that team. That's what we talked about at our reunion we had last year. We had our 20th reunion. Right. Is that the first person to 13 person, everybody was all in. Right. The bench was just as important as the people on the court with how supportive they were. And everyone just knew their role. And again, it might be easy for me to say because of what I did, but I just think everybody was really selfless back then. And it was wonderful. And we also had a very grounded coach, Mr. Doug Garrett. He's a Christian man. He exuded those values, humble to a T. Definitely would put us in our place if any one of us acted in a way that was not humble about stuff. So he was the perfect leader for that situation with all that talent. Because if you don't have a talented coach that can manage all, that egos could easily start sparking. And he was the perfect person for it. So much respect for that guy.
Man, and it's funny you talk about that with you having the right system, the coach, the players, all the way down to the bench. And that helps you get ready to have your mindset of what you're going to be dealing with, the other teams that you're going to play against. Talk about some of those other teams that you guys had to face that you knew. You had Henrico, you had, who else was back then? You know, like I said, Monaghan, Atley.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about that Henrico team.
That was a rivalry. That was like an unspoken weird rivalry that we had with them. You know, they're way over on the East End kinda, and we're from the South Side. And you just look at the teams, you're like, these are different people. Very much a mutual respect between us. Natasha Sparks and I had some battles. Yes, that was like the first person, especially on the girls' side, that would walk 2 yards past half court and put it up.
Yeah.
Like, she was old, didn't she? And I don't know. I don't let her be. I mean,
awesome.
God, I wish I remembered some of the other girls' names. Michelle something is standing out to me right now, but battle after battle with them, and they got us a couple times. You know, I ran into Natasha Starks like 10 years later at the boys' home. We were both playing pickup basketball. We kind of looked at each other like, hey, it's you again.
So trust me, I know I coached with Coach Atkins, Gene Atkins, for 5 years for the AAU team, because Malik played for her boys' team. Oh, I had to hear about that. So she still, well, you got in the way of that one. She felt like that one was hers.
I bet. I was telling you, boy, that I remember the shoes flying on the court and the outrageous outfits. She was a character, but we ended up getting in a good place of mutual respect too.
That's cool.
I really had a lot of respect for the program and how good she is to those kids, and probably still is, and nobody even knows it. And then,
I'm surprised that she's not even in the Hall of Fame or at some point at anybody's level, Henrico or VHSL or something.
That's the truth.
What she's done for the state.
She's an absolute legend.
Absolutely.
Battle with Elsie Bird, Chantry Smith, man.
Chantry Smith. Oh, that was my girl.
Yeah, I remember that name.
I hate to say it, but it would be incredible to see where she would have gone without that ACL injury.
Oh, yeah.
That happened at the end of her junior year. She was definitely a step slower, but obviously still skilled. But I think that she would be in the conversation as one of the best around if that knee injury hadn't happened. There's a couple girls like that, honestly. Katie Marsh at Clover Hill was sick.
Yep.
But yeah, Sean Treese was somebody I just didn't feel like I could get on her level.
That was my party buddy. We used to party a lot out there in Chesterfield. Oh yeah, that was my party buddy. Oh yeah, we got some stories. So I used to hang out. Like, it's crazy, I'm a city guy, but I used to hang out in Chesterfield. But don't tell nobody about
that. Keep that under the low. But look, one thing I want to go back and talk about what you mentioned, Anna, and I don't know, we're going to talk about your coaching career in a minute, but how you said you sacrificed when Megan came over. And I know you told your kids that to win a championship, you have to have some kind of sacrifice and be willing to sacrifice, maybe scoring or whatever. Just talk about, you as we're talking about this senior year run, sacrificing your ability to win a title and to leave Midlothian as a champion.
I know. I want to ask our coach, did you sit me and Megan down and have this discussion with us face to face, or was it something he kind of had a way of doing things really organically through practice? And I think it was orchestrated it, but we didn't really know why he was doing certain things. So maybe he paired us off a lot or had us go at each other a lot in practice and just get used to it and get all that aggression out during practice. And then in the games, be all buds or whatever. So I need to go back and ask him if he was intentional about that or if it came together.
Yeah, so we could do a part 2.
You can do a part 2 and figure out how you guys were successful that year, right?
Yeah. Bring him back. Yeah. Now, Megan and I did go to middle school together because, middle feeds to both Monacan and Midlothian. So it's not like we were complete strangers.
So you guys knew, you knew who each other, you knew who you were.
Yeah, we won 2 championships in middle school together. So this is not our first rodeo together. We just met again.
Y'all dominating in middle school.
And go to high school and win one.
Middle is the dynasty of.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, because Malik went to Providence, and oh God,
he used to get beat up. Huh?
That game was big, but I can't remember my mindset as a 17 or 18-year-old on how I was thinking about that, how that chemistry would gel, but it just did. And I'm sure that I had a little bit of an ego. I can't imagine I didn't, but I also don't remember being a huge asshole either. So
No, yeah.
I'm one of 4 kids, so I wasn't the only show in town. You know,
Right,
they
for
were
sure.
as supportive as you can get as parents. But when I came home, it was, is your homework done? Okay, go to bed. You know, it
Right.
wasn't.
It wasn't.
Great
Yeah.
game, you know,
Great
like
game. Let's sit down and talk about it. Right. I got you.
our house. You know, me and my dad talk about basketball now, but back then he knew. I'm
That
good.
was it.
So
Yeah.
you have to have your people to keep you grounded and humble.
Yeah, you have to. You have to.
Yeah.
For sure.
So
So what was it like, you know, winning that title that senior year? I mean, that was Midlothian's first girls title, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
for
just
sure.
a magical run. When you talk about being 31-0, being able to say that my last high school basketball game was a win.
Right.
I mean, that's huge.
That's
I think
awesome.
Malik's got the same thing. I mean,
Yep.
because then you're not living your life with any type of regret. It's like celebration. And does a high school championship really mean that much in the big scheme of life? No, but I don't have to regret. I don't have to live with that regret either.
Right.
And I can look back on it with fond times. And like I said, we had the 20th anniversary of it last year, and 12 out of 13 girls came back.
Sweet.
Oh, that's
13 out of 13 sets of parents came back.
No.
That goes a long way just with your mindset, like
It does. It
going
does.
into the next portion of life. And then I got people still stopping me on the street that, you had a Prillaman, didn't y'all win a championship?
See, that's what I'm saying. That's why it's a big deal. You know.
Yeah, because you got to think about it, Anna. You know, that was, I think Megan Henrico might have been heavily favored that year, if I want to say that. So for you guys to win it in the old way, where the AAA, where you had one champion in each group, instead of having 5 and whatever they got now. I don't even know what they got now. But
I would say for the region, and this dog problem is going to be fixed in a second. For the region, Henrico was probably favorite, and for the state, I don't even think we were in the conversation of the Final Four. To be honest.
Right. It was down in the Tidewater and in Northern Virginia that were pretty favored as well.
Yeah.
Right, and then for them to go undefeated.
Yeah, win it all.
That's a big deal.
It's a huge deal. I disagree with you on that. And high school championships are a big deal. Do you still have that ring or jacket or whatever you got back then? Or
I have a really funny story about the ring. Actually, we all got rings.
Okay.
Was it Megan Walker's junior year? Midlothian played them at the Siegel Center in the state semis or whatever.
Oh, that was a
huge I took the ring out for the first time, and I didn't wear it because I wouldn't do that. I put it in my pocket.
Right.
And then I went out to a bar afterwards, and then and the next morning the ring was gone. So I have lost my state championship ring, and it is at a bar in the fan somewhere.
Oh, somebody got that ring somewhere.
You should have checked what, like eBay or something, to see if anybody tried to get it.
Yeah, for real.
My coach said I could contact whoever the company was, but I don't know that.
Oh man, that's.
I was trying to like give Midlothian good vibes, stopping by the game, and then
that was a crazy game if I can remember. Midlothian and
that was a good game. I remember it too. Monica obviously won, but
right, for sure.
Yeah, too many people ain't win too many games when Megan was playing.
No, not many.
I wish I would have watched her more, because I'm here in real deal Holyfield. I mean, I obviously watched her at UConn, but I didn't see her that much in high school.
Yeah,
so I guess
she was something.
The Tiffany Bauer thing too well, if I haven't.
No, like I said, we talked about it. Chevette talked about it. Chevette said she go with Tiffany. I said Megan, but then when Wooby gave me all the details, I was like, well, yeah, accomplished probably would be.
Well, I mean, accomplishment, you got to go with Megan, but
she was never. What was the argument? I forgot what it was.
It was. Remember, we added
Jasmine Young.
We added Jasmine Young in that too, in that mix too. And I just thought the style of play, the way Tiffany played, I would go with her just because of her mentality, I guess. And I don't know Megan personally. So you guys know better than I do. I don't know her personally. Just watching her play, I would go with Tiffany based on how she played. Now, accomplishments, of course. I mean, the girl was National Player of the Year. You can't deny that she wasn't the best player, not only come out of Richmond, but probably the country. But just knowing Tiffany and just knowing how she played, I would go with her. And again, if she played it in this era, it would be scary because
she was a dog. I mean,
she was a dog. Absolutely.
Like, girls don't play with the level of emotion that we all get to
and
play.
that's why I would go with her. That's what I would be. Okay, I'll put it to you like this: out of the 3 players we mentioned, Jasmine Young, Megan Walker, Tiffany Bauer. If you said if you had one shot, last second shot, who you give the ball to? I would give it to Tiffany. That's the way I would put it. I wouldn't say she was better, but I would put all my stock into Tiffany over the other two. How about that?
Yeah, we was having a conversation about who was the best girls player that came out of Monacan, and we, broke it down to those three.
And those three, obviously. Now Megan Dickinson might have something to say about it. She left Monacan and went over to Midlothian. No, I'm just playing.
Yeah, but weird style. Yeah.
But listen.
Player
yeah. She was good.
Dog than athlete.
So when did UVA start becoming, a viable destination for you? Was it
how was the recruiting period?
Yeah, how was the recruiting process for that?
Yeah, I wonder if Debbie would say that she had, or if it was a coincidence that she got three of us to commit from Richmond within 4 or 5 years. I don't know.
And
I hated the recruiting process.
Before you go on, it was like they weren't recruiting Richmond like that tough, right? Back in the day.
Only Virginian. Well, Katie Tracy walked on. She was a fourth year. I was a first year. But I was the only Virginian on the team for the rest of the years on the roster. They were going out to California and getting, Renee Robinson and that whole crowd.
Yep.
I remember Renee Robinson.
I had teammates from all over the world: Australia, Turkey, everything. I got to my blinders went from this to this when I was at UVA. Just the amount of culture that came at me.
Right.
Not necessarily.
So Debbie Ryan was still the coach, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Did she recruit you?
Yep. Sean Campbell was her assistant.
Okay.
He was a big time brains behind the operation, but he left right before I got there. So Debbie was heavily involved in it after he had left. Audra Smith was an assistant. She ended up down at Clemson for a little bit. Nikki Caldwell was an assistant. She's at LSU now. And then Tim Taylor was the other assistant. He's at Navy now. So all four of the coaches were head coaches, and two of them at least are going to be in the Hall of Fame, I think. Or Debbie already is. Sure. I was a social kid in high school, so the recruiting process, social, like with friends that didn't have anything to do with sports type of social,
right.
Just going out, being a fool. And so it bothered me that I had to sit by the phone and wait for college coaches to call because my dad made me do it. So I committed to August before my senior year, and I was just
there wasn't anybody else. It was just
I think everybody looked at me other than the big like Tennessee, UConn. I narrowed it down to UVA and Texas was the final two. Jody Conrad was still at Texas, and it just ended up being too far at the end of the day.
Yeah,
that's what I figured that.
I think they ended up being better than we were when I was there. So, oops, but whatever.
Well, I mean, you were a 4-year starter in Charlottesville. Talk about when you get to campus. Was it everything you thought it would be when you got there?
Like I said, it was a little bit of a culture shock. Definitely within the basketball team, with just the intensity of practices and the type of girls. I'm used to Northern Chesterfield girls, and now you got people from all over the world, really. Right. High income, low income, black, white, Australian, Eastern European. I mean, we had everything. And actually, my second, we had some chemistry issues because of it, to the point where we had to all sit in a room and like talk about our families to each other just so we could find some sort of common ground, because it didn't gel as well as you want it to. But they ran an awesome program. God, the lessons you learn playing college basketball, it is so hard. People don't realize how hard it is.
I know
Physically, the physical grind of it at the beginning is really hard to adjust to. That becomes pretty easy after a while because you're used to it, but the mental is tough. And then for me, like I said, I've always just kind of been a balanced person where I'm never too focused on one thing at the same time. So I still kind of had the social life and trying to work on your academics and trying to figure out what you want to do with the rest of your life and get to know yourself as a person and who you want to date and all that stuff. So that kept me grounded, because I never was like totally basketball once I got to college.
And we talked about it earlier, you were never really, that was never you anyway. You always did different things growing up. So that kind of helped you, we got to college. So,
and I think that's why I don't hang my hat on a state championship from high school, because it's just a part of life for me. Like it was an awesome thing, but it's just one piece of the pie on this entire journey. And there's other stuff that I could probably enjoy talking about more through my life's journey than basketball. It means a lot to me, and I don't want to make it seem like it was whatever, because it's not. But I'm not
just who you are,
guys. I'm probably not thinking about it at all this month,
No, it's just who you are, and this is what we wanted. We wanted you to, expand on that. So we appreciate your honesty on that.
Yeah,
for
I
sure.
think a lot of the former players from around town are the same way. I don't know anybody who really dwells on it too much.
We've noticed that. We've noticed that doing this, like me and Larry will hype you. Oh my goodness, we got so and so coming on the show, and they're like, yeah, I don't remember much that happened. We're like, what? We remember more than they do. You know what I mean? So it's like, I see what you're saying. It's like,
well, it might be to y'all's point that we came in a different time where we weren't being blown up on Twitter, and we weren't being
That's a great point. That's a great point. Yeah.
No one played for themselves back then.
Awesome.
Nobody would do this, but if anybody asked Mr. Garrett, how many points, can you check the book? How many points did I have?
That's right.
Oh my God. That would be like, you're kicked
true.
off the team. Like, you're clearly selfish. And that is the norm now. And it's not its fault. I don't even know what came first, the chicken or the egg, with how it got to be how it is. But we weren't blown up in the same way. So maybe that's why we don't dwell on it as much. I mean, I'm not heavy on social media anyway, but you can find no evidence of my playing career in my social medias. And now the kids are told you
I couldn't find
brand.
Oh, for sure. Yep, you do. Every play. Like we were talking about it not too long ago, Larry. You could watch on social media and a nice dunk. They could score 4 points that game, but everybody's going to be talking about that one dunk, and they want a scholarship after that. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's amazing how these kids are just promoting themselves and making a big deal about it.
I'm doing it. I'm feeding the beast. I'm on Twitter, blowing up, hyping up our kids, and now we got now we got a YouTube channel, and we celebrate at Trinity now. More so than even when we got there. So it's just keeps going. And I'm part of the problem too, because I'm feeding into it. So I don't know.
It's just part of the norm now.
It's part of the norm.
Like you said, back then, we didn't have any of it. Can you imagine what it would have been like if we'd have had
goodness.
Twitter and Facebook and all of that stuff? Then, oh my God.
I wonder who I would have become if that would have been that way. That's my worry. That's my old person worry for these kids, is who are they going to become once they really do have to hang up the sneakers.
Yeah, some of them are struggling right there with now. Like, you're getting injured, and those people that were around, they're not around anymore, and they're like, I need to do something to kind of feed the beast.
For sure.
Scary. Once you hit, for me, hitting 22 and being done with my playing career and then having to go out into the real world, that was running into a brick wall. It was very hard.
Really?
Back then. So I can't imagine now when it's just your entire being and your entire identity, and everyone's telling you how great you are. And then you get up the next day and it's crickets, and you got to find a job.
Wow. We're going to talk about your jobs, but you were a 4-year starter. You said it was a culture shock when you first got there, and it was hard. Had a great career. You had a good career in Virginia. You go to ACC school when ACC was a pretty good conference back then as well on the women's side. I looked it up, and you were an American politics major. So what were you thinking after your career? Were you thinking coaching at that time, or overseas, or getting into your field of choice of American politics?
I knew that I was done with basketball. I became a little bit burnout of the sport, and it was nobody's fault. I'd had enough by, third, fourth year. So I knew that I wasn't going to do the overseas thing. If I can't go to Texas, I sure as hell can't go to Europe to play.
That's true.
That's a great point.
I liked American politics. It's always interests me, but I never wanted to work in it. So that's why hitting 22 and that brick wall was real for me. I had no idea what I wanted to do. And I think I coached, honestly, at the beginning, because that's all I knew how to do. That's the only time people would definitely give me a job or listen to what I had to say. So I got into coaching, and I loved it for a good amount of time. That started to get old, but I really liked the behind the scenes stuff. And that's how I kind of started creeping into administration. And then it could open my net into the tennises and the volleyballs and the footballs and the boys soccers. And I didn't have to just focus on that one thing. So I absolutely love my job because of that.
Yeah, I was going to say, this fits you perfectly now. Yeah. Like, you could touch everybody.
Yeah. And you can do the hands-on stuff with mentoring some of the kids that that need help, have a conversation. But you can do the logistical stuff with scheduling, and you can get into the social media world and contacting the local media. There's just, every day is different. You roll up your sleeves, you clean out a locker, you throw on the blazer, and you raise money for the school. It's different every day, and I love it. Truly. I wouldn't just say that. And Trinity's a great place. I hope that you agree.
I agree. We're gonna as everybody can see, the sweatshirt, Larry always comes well prepared when it comes to his attire, and we really appreciate that. He's got the Trinity sweatshirt on.
So what'd you wear when
Oh,
Tiffany came? Did you have a Monacan sweatshirt?
Nah, he didn't have one.
No,
What you wear? What you
I
wear
didn't
that day?
have
You
one.
remember? I forget. Remember what you had on that
Y'all
day.
got to go back and do that. I don't think I can do this. This is probably what I have.
You
For,
got
you know,
was it a cup?
Monica glass. You know, but you know, but that's
No,
about
but we talked about your playing career. You get into coaching, 15 years experience. You each actually had from what I read, you had a banner put up at one of your volleyball stops. So I mean, yeah, that was awesome. I read that. I did my research, but that's a great accomplishment. So you go from Stab, where you in Charlottesville after your college days, you coach there, and you come back home, right, to go to Atlee. Is that right?
Yep, I was doing basketball at Atlee and volleyball at St. Catherine's. And honestly, volleyball, I was enjoying that almost as much, maybe more than I was basketball. I loaded teams at both of the places. I fell into that at Atlee. I built it at St. Catherine's.
Yeah, that's good.
So I came into the gym at St. Catherine's, and they win championships left and right. I don't know if you remember that from the girls' side, Larry. But the volleyball banner was empty. So every single day I'd have those girls meet before and after practice under the banner, and we talk about how we were the only team that didn't have a date on it.
That's motivation right there.
So we win the championship in 2010. Yep, I'm like, we did it. Like, she brings the banner down. The next day she calls me. She's like, I need to tell you something. The girls in 1990 actually won, and we just found out that there was supposed to be a date on the banner.
Oh no!
So that was that banner story. But meanwhile, we were killing it at Atlee. We won Times Dispatch. I mean, if you want to talk about names around Richmond, Rochelle Price, Cindy Henderson.
Yep, Price. Buster Kentucky.
Lindsay Martin. I mean, her Henderson sister, Taylor Henderson. Carla Stuber, the Super Twin sister, was there. There was some talent coming out of that place too.
Yeah, I used to go to the games when you and Chevette used to play against each other. Bird against Atlee. I used to be in the stands watching. Yeah, you had a loaded team over there.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I was telling him the story of when Chevette got a transfer in the middle of the year. There was a weird situation. So they were ranked like, I don't remember exactly, it was like 7 when they really had the talent to be like a 1 or 2. So we ran into the quarterfinals and they upset us. I will never forget that game. And I don't know who made that decision to let that child play, but that was
we might. Hey, look, we might have to get in touch with Chevette and ask her that question and see.
She was the one who got me on. She called me. I love that.
She was like, I'm not going to say anything about that. You know how she talks.
They say no comment, no further comment.
Yeah, but there were some battles between Elsie Bird and Cosby was good back then.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Cosby just started with Coach Meade. They just started coming up too.
Yep. I think we beat them in the Times Dispatch that one year when I had Michelle and all them. But
you had a squad, man. Because she went to Western Kentucky, right? Yeah.
She was a dog too. I mean,
yeah, she was.
Girls that truly played with every emotion in her body, and you could just comes out. And I hate that I don't see that out of many local players anymore. Even Megan.
Megan didn't play hard. Yeah, she.
Well, I mean,
we remember from back.
She probably played hard. It just didn't seem. Maybe it was effortless to her. I mean,
it was effortless.
Yeah.
Let me correct that. It was effortless because she made everything look so easy.
So easy, graceful. You know, it just made it look so.
Y'all know what I'm talking about when just.
Oh no, for sure.
Just going crazy.
The intensity, for sure.
You know, acting like an animal, and I mean, you just don't see it like you used to, and I loved it.
No, different breed now. You know, you can't say anything, you can't do anything, and it drove a lot of the old school coaches out. You know,
hate that. Yeah. So I'm sure the best coaches in Richmond are not in the profession.
Nope.
No.
I'm sure. I mean.
Oh, I can second that.
Because it's just, it's a lot. It's too much. You get criticized by everybody. You know, it's never enough. It's too much sometimes in practice, and you just can't win. So I have so much respect for the people who are still in it.
Yeah, because when I was coaching with Coach Atkins, it was I could see just like it was a change for her. She had to adapt from the way it used to be into where it was transitioning. And I knew she wasn't going to be with us for so long. She said, "No, I'm going to stay with the kids till they graduate," and she didn't. She just.
I said she couldn't make it.
It was different. these kids different. You can't say, because she's real aggressive.
Right.
Coach
Yeah.
Atkins is a real aggressive person, and she wants to say what she wants to say out of her mouth.
Yeah.
Regardless of,
Yeah, she
she's
does.
gonna say what she's gonna say, and if she feel like she has to bite her tongue, she can't do it anymore.
And
She'd
you
be in
know,
parent
should
meeting.
be
Parent meeting.
every week. And a lot of times people don't understand what a coach has to go through, like you said, Anna, but what they do for the kids that they don't like publicize. They don't talk about everything that they do for these kids, whether it's giving them rides, they might give them something to eat, giving them shoes. I mean, it's so much that goes into it, but all parents care about is is my kid going to college, and are they going to win a state championship? There's more to it than just that. But
it usually comes down to
right.
playing time.
That's what it is. Yep.
We say
that's
we'll never
what it
sit
is.
down and meet with you if it's about playing time, and they do it anyway. And they try to start the meeting where it's like, the coach ruined my kid's confidence or whatever. But we know
it's more than
it's
that.
not
I know you have to deal with a lot of that. I know you
all the time.
That's crazy.
But listen, I mean, the majority of parents are awesome. It's the fringe minority that's really loud and aggressive that really makes everyone else look bad when they're really not terrible.
Right.
Yeah, but the kids suck. Let's just call it what it is. Those are the ones that the kids
Those
suck.
are the ones where the parents come up there, right?
Right. Those are the ones that allow the kid usually suck.
Like, come watch practice. Like, watch practice. That's the other thing about parents getting in these decisions. Like, you're not at practice every day. You're not in the locker room. You're not in the coaches' meetings. You're not in any of this stuff. So how do you think you can deduct anyway who should be getting home for playing time?
Right, for sure.
Plus, you never played the game. So why do you think you know?
Yeah,
exactly.
Everybody can coach from the sideline. Just keep that in mind. So
I mean, I do it too when I'm sitting back watching games.
But you play. You know the game though. You know the game, so it's different.
Yeah, but some of these parents, oh my God, because
crazy.
Jean used to be like, Larry. She said, you just deal with the parents because I just don't have the patience for it. Larry, I tell you, if you don't, I'm just going to go ahead and just pack up. No, coach, we need you. I'll deal with the parents and you just do the coaching. So, and I got enough of that. After year 2, I got enough of that. I was like, I'm done. I can't do the parents. I said, I can't do parents. I said, I sound like her. I don't do parents.
I have had a very weird relationship with the game of basketball the last 10 years, I think. So I don't want to say it was just the parents that drove me out, but I think that was the deciding factor of step back.
I'm glad you were honest about that.
Yeah, I can take it as an athletic director way easier than I could have taken as a basketball.
Oh, I'm sure.
Absolutely. That was my.
You're gonna ask me about the game, like I don't know anything in this world except basketball. I know nothing about nothing except this thing, and you're gonna question.
Check her resume. Check her resume.
Sure.
That's a little bit egotistical, I guess, but that's how I feel.
No, you don't say it. I'll say it for you. Ruby will say it.
Gatorade State Player of the Year. Leave me alone. I'm good.
Yeah, leave me alone.
Do everything.
No,
No, but you kind of just answered my next question in terms of the transition from after Atlee, you did go to Trinity and become a coach. Mm-hmm. But the transition from coaching to the director of athletics, obviously it was an easy transition for you because you said you were tired of coaching, but just talk about that position now and how excited you were to get that position. Yeah,
I mean, having 15 years of coaching experience, I know what these coaches are going through, so I can emphasize with some of the issues. And it's not all the playing time and parents. It's, the awful travel that has, you're coming back from Norfolk Academy on a Tuesday night and you get home at 10 o'clock and you've been on a bus with a bunch of screaming teenagers and then you got to go to work the next day. Like just the grind of it is a lot. And to be able to have, I hope that as an athletic director that I have an empathetic heart for that stuff and can help and support in ways that maybe someone who didn't coach as long can do. That's kind of, that was my passion to get into it initially, was to stand up for coaches. And protect them from some of these crazy parents and understand, hey man, if you get back at 11 o'clock tonight and if you don't teach till the next period, why don't you, sleep in another hour? or just like for me to be like, I understand that sucks,
Yeah.
So there's just a lot of things about high school coaching that are so rewarding, but there's a lot of things that are just terrible in general, just as a functioning human being. And so I understand that. And I try to provide ways to support and lift them up. So There's really, I mean, the parent problems can be annoying, but there's really nothing about the job that's not cool. I organize sports for a living. Like, who wouldn't want to do that?
That's great.
Oh, I would love to do that.
It's so fun. And at a place like Trinity that just keeps getting better.
Yeah.
And it has all the support in the world and just great people, like in general. I mean, you know, we're not perfect, of course, but I'm not going anywhere anytime soon because I really like it.
I bet you not. I mean, the atmosphere for me when we came over to visit Trinity during the open house in October, like the first 10 minutes, we knew Malik was going there. It was without a question. Like the band, like the band director was playing the music.
Yeah.
It just made you feel comfortable and just the environment. And then I met Mr. Hupp.
Yeah.
And he said, he looked at Malik, he said, "You play basketball?" Malik was like, "Yes, sir." He said, "Look, anytime you need anything, you come see me. My son's name is Thomas. You come see me." I said, and I walked and I saw his name on the I guess the weight room or whatever it is. Right. I said, "Malik, you get with Thomas. You make sure you stick with Thomas." I said, "Yeah, buddy." I said, "I'm in the right place." I said, "Well, cool. I need to sign me up."
And that man, I mean, his kids are all graduated. He still hangs around and supports us.
Yeah.
And
That's great.
You know, it's just a community worth being around. You knew that.
Yeah,
oh yeah, you know. Look, I can talk about the time when you helped me out at the game. We had the St. Chris people. With one of the St. Chris fans, Mr. Henderson.
I remember I sat next to you. I just put my hand on your knee. I'm like, "What's going on, man?"
He talking trash to me because his son was getting his pocket picked. You know, like, dude, I'm sitting up here like, don't get mad at me because you got all these people coming here. It was me, myself, you, and what's the field hockey lady?
Sneed.
Margie Sneed. Yeah, I was like, listen.
He was over there before anybody even noticed anything was going on. That was wild.
Yeah, I was like, he said, "Man," I said, look, bro, that your son get his pocket picked. And that's what I love. Everybody then Mr. Short came over there. It made me feel real good because all of you guys took up for me. Henry Coleman's parents were there. It was like, "No, Larry didn't do that." I said, "Oh, I feel at home. This is why I love this place. I love this place."
It's a family. It can be dysfunctional, just like any family on a given day. But we can really knock it out of the park too. And
oh, absolutely.
I've heard great things. I've heard great things about it. Especially Larry's been the biggest spokesperson, but other people just said so many great things about Trinity. So you're in a good place for sure.
The places you feel when you walk on campus, you feel just the goodness of it, and this is home, and I'm going to be accepted for who I am, and I love it. About that. It's a private school that's not a private school.
So even if Midlothian calls you and says, "Hey, no, we want you back," nah. Yeah. Okay, good.
When the AD left, I looked at it, the AD job, but I'm just not one of those people who wants to go back to the high school that I went to.
Yeah,
I love Midlothian. I have nothing bad to say about it. I support them from afar, but in private school,
you're home now. Yeah, you're home now.
Private school is a good place to be employed for a lot of reasons.
It is.
And that's what I want to talk about too.
It's a down-to-earth private school. There's no noses in the air over there.
Right, no, it's not.
There's some nice cars in the parking lot, but it's not a snobby place at all.
I can tell you, like Ms. Gillard told me, you can leave $20 on the floor over there in the gym and nobody will pick it up until, you'll go back about 2 hours later and $20 will still be on the floor.
That's true.
That's how it is over there.
You gotta love it. You gotta love that. Gotta love that.
And that's what I want to talk about too, Anna, public versus private. You played at public. You coached in public. Now you're the AD. You've been on both sides. Can you tell our listeners the differences? Because we have some people,
we have debates
an athletic director who I would not name, wants to talk trash.
Yeah.
And I try to tell him, well, I'm gonna let you do it. Can you tell the people the differences?
Here.
No, I'm not.
No. It's just the differences since you've been on both sides. That's all.
Yeah,
you've been on both sides. Give your experiences from what you dealt with.
There's a standard of behavior, I think, that the private schools are more intentional about. You go to even a Midlothian basketball game, and the stands are saying bullshit. We don't put up with that at Trinity, and I don't think any of the private schools. So I think the standard of behavior is the biggest thing. But we are also we don't have that government bureaucracy tape to jump through with every little thing that we do. I don't have to jump through to get stuff done. I don't have to, go through all these different steps to just get a check written. So our operation can bob and weave. I mean, we've seen it during COVID. Unfortunately, a lot of the privates right now are choosing the classroom over the playing field, which I think I really am proud to be a part of. Chesterfield County's not in school, but then they're playing sports. So it looks like they value sports more. But I just think that we're just way more intentional in our thought about everything that we do, including sports. And there's a little bit higher of a standard of, what is the word? Behavior might even not be the word. I don't want to say that we're better or worse, though. Like, I don't want to get into that conversation because I'm a public school kid. Some of the most successful people that I know, money-wise, happiness-wise, marriage-wise, went to public schools. And then I've got
I did too.
Private schools and aren't doing well, or, they're working for dad or whatever. So I don't think it's a better or worse thing. It's just such a different field. And I'm trying not to get myself in trouble by actually being wrong about the question.
Go ahead, Larry. Go ahead.
No, because like I said, I came from public school as well. But I think people tend to forget when like Ruby said, I talk about Trinity so much in my experience there and how impactful it was for Malik, coming from, Providence Middle and going into it, because it was a transition for him. And academically, it definitely was a big transition for him. But with Mr. Short and, some of the academic advisors, were just so humble and just so helpful with meeting with Malik and myself. And people, the way I talk about it, act like that I went to private school all my life. I'm like, no, I didn't,
But you just had
and I just want to tell people, man, this experience is just, it was just unreal. And people's like, oh, well, the private schools are messing up and everything. No, they not. It's just, everybody's not financially able to send their kid to private school. They're just not.
And on the athletic standpoint, the competition's gotten better. I was going to ask you the difference in playing, but back when you played, the public schools did rule the court back then, because, private schools back then, it wasn't really, people weren't thinking about going to private school. How about that? You could go to college from public school with no problem, but
it was way far behind the private.
Yes, it was.
Right.
For sure.
For girls basketball, I don't even think you can maybe St. Gertrude you could mention. I think they had a couple. Maria Giovanetti, and I think there was somebody else that came through there. Megan Kelly was decent, but that's the only people you would even mention. I mean, St. Catherine's was nothing in basketball. Trinity was nothing. Trinity had one good player, Yeva Kablana. She went to Virginia Tech and played, but she was just there 1 year. And then Benedictine basketball, nothing on the boys' side. I mean, you didn't mention them in football, you didn't mention them in soccer, you didn't, and everything now. I feel like the privates have least caught up, if not surpassed
them.
I would say football probably is the exception. That the are still.
Yeah, basketball.
Yeah, I don't think football will ever be able to match public.
No, I don't see Chris beating Hopewell or Elsie.
No, that won't happen. No, that won't happen.
That won't happen.
But basketball
better, honestly.
But no, it's just something that we've been throwing out there just to kind of get people's perspective on, because again, I'm a public school kid too. But growing up, I grew up in Baltimore where a lot of Catholic schools ruled the city. But I started to see that trend when a lot of kids started going private, but you still knew that the competition was public, and it kind of goes in the Richmond area too. Like now you're seeing that trend where Trinity, Benedictine, Trinity, St. Chris, all those teams are changing the tide. So
I don't have a limit on how many assistant coaches that I can hire, within reason, of course. I don't have to ask those questions. Any of this social media stuff that is full speed ahead, I've got a whole department working on it. A lot of times the public schools have just one ADs, and maybe an assistant AD that's paid half of it. So we can full speed ahead on that. So there's just a lot of things that we can do as a department, because I've got 6 people working in the department right now. We're going to be down to 5 next year just because of a little bit of a shakeup, but they don't have the staff to support all the changes that go on in high school sports. And I tell my department all the time, we want to keep up with the Joneses, if not be the leader in the Joneses about whatever the new thing is,
Good.
We've caught up in the live stream and the social media, and I think Trinity needed to get there. And now what's the next thing? Let's figure that out first before someone else gets to it. And then the other thing that doesn't really have that much, well, it does have to do with athletics. It touches every part of the school. And I think you'll understand this too, Larry, is the intentionality behind teaching kids character at private schools, because we have time to do that. We're not, again, the bureaucracy is gone. That is huge. I mean, we are constantly talking about different character traits that these kids have got to hone in on and be a part of themselves and value as they go on to the portion in their life. It's constant. And kids start to take pride in that.
They do.
So
they do.
That's a huge difference. We didn't, Midlothian was an amazing place to be back then, but I don't remember that intentionality behind character.
You learned that from home and just went to, went to school.
Yeah. And you have to think about it too. When you going to school every day, the kids had to wear the Trinity name. You had to wear a Trinity shirt or something like that. So if you go out in public and you do something wrong, immediately you identify about, what school you went to. Like, wait a minute, you went to Trinity and you acting like that? You wasn't going to stand for that.
And I always feel like our kids don't want to let us down in that way,
Right.
They've got a ton of respect for it. I think there's a mutual thing going on with our faculty and the kids. There's a ton of respect, and we trust the kids more. They have way more freedom than they do at public schools. There's no locking down doors and stuff like that. So it's definitely a different world. And I think kids that come from private and go to public and vice versa, it's a culture shock. It's very different.
Oh yeah. I got one more question about Trinity. Miss Prillaman.
Yeah.
Can you tell Wooby how great that 2017 basketball team was?
Here we go.
Yeah.
What a ride.
It was great. No.
You don't know. You can't say it was great because you didn't know.
No. Let me just say this. Wait, hold on. He said one of the greatest teams. He said one of the greatest teams to come out of the state of Virginia ever.
That was
Would you agree?
Right. It was amazing. I mean, what didn't you have? Tank at the right?
Yep.
Tank point guard then?
Tank was the point guard because Aaron was hurt.
Played 1-2.
Okay.
I mean, you had a bench. Zach Jacobs balled in that Final Four.
Can you? See, this is the thing. This is what I'm trying to tell him.
He's having a good year.
We played 36 games that year. 36 games. They played pretty much close to, not quite a national schedule, but they played a lot of tough teams.
Close to it.
Right. And accomplishments-wise, to finish 11th in the country, all the top players. Can you tell them how tough that Visa League is?
Yeah.
D1, D2. Can you just? I'm gonna let you do all of that.
I know how tough it is. But go ahead, Anna. I want you to talk about it. You were there, so.
You've got to have the Catholic schools from Northern Virginia in the conversation with
right.
Absolutely.
These are the type. I mean, they are national powerhouses year in, year out.
Right.
They're playing even the bigger national powerhouses up there in DC, Maryland type of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Knock them off, and
we beat them bad.
That game wasn't even close.
Thank you.
Really?
Thank you.
It wasn't. What was the final score of that game? It wasn't even a game.
What, the championship game?
Well, look. The championship game, I think we beat them by double figures both nights because you got to think about it. O'Connell had like 5 D1 players, actually 6. Was it Bishop? Was it Paul the 6? I mean, you look at those guys on TV: Carolina, Duke, and Villanova.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I don't go by that, but I get you. I get what you're saying.
Okay, on the record. Based off what they did and what you saw, Prillaman, wouldn't you say, based off what they did, they're one of the based off what they did, because not too many teams finished. I don't even think really, maybe a few teams finished nationally. Wouldn't you have to say they would be in the conversation of one of the greatest teams that came out of the state of Virginia, based off public and private?
They're in the conversation.
Thank you. Thank you. That's all I said.
Here's my problem with it, and I'm not trying to argue with you. How do you compare a 2017 private school with like a 90s public school team? Like, it's hard to even.
It's hard to do that. It's hard to do that.
Yeah, because
it's hard to do that.
I'm trying to even think of what teams from back in the day were just. Well, God, John Marshall. Didn't they?
John Marshall versus Trinity.
Yeah.
Could you even compare that? No, I guess not. But
I don't think you can. It's
because the styles.
They were loaded too. But yeah, I guess it's hard. It's hard to.
I went to school with all of those guys. I was supposed to go to John Marshall. I ended up going to John F. Kennedy, which is Armstrong now. But I went to school and grew up in a neighborhood with all those guys, so I know. But what I'm just saying is, it's hard to. And even we talked to Ronnie Wade about it. It's kind of hard to compare. That's why nobody can say, it's the greatest this team that overwhelmingly. But they're in a conversation based off the accomplishments, what they did. Look, Zach Jacobs is still shooting the ball, Anna.
He's balling. I saw him in the news last week with Jay.
Yeah. He's balling this year. He's having a good year. He's having a good year.
But you know what? Also, gosh, if Mondo would have stayed, we had what's his face?
Coleman
went to collegiate. He went to collegiate and he was begging us to come.
Oh, Robbie Barron.
Robbie Barron wanted to come. Tyrese Jenkins wanted to come.
Oh, I thought Jenkins was
had
coming.
Henry there. That would have been the squad.
I remember
and
Jenkins.
You had that kid from Stewart that went to Washington State. I can't think of his name. I know Jenkins was senior night. Yeah. Okay.
It didn't come together because of X, Y, and Z, but that would have been the squad.
Yeah.
But there was some talent that came through. Did you go to the Stewart Trinity game last year, Larry, at for the Times-Dispatch that was at Hanover High School?
Yes, I was there.
Was Reed there?
The who's who of that year were there, all standing together. Was Malik there too?
All of them was on the wall.
Jason, that was
Malik,
really
Jason, Aaron, Will, Michael.
Yeah,
all of them. They was on a team. Those guys was, like you said, when you talk about close knit. See, the problem is people try to compare individual players versus a team.
Yeah.
And you can't do that.
Yeah.
Because when you have a coach, like you said, from John Godfrey used to always tell me, from the top to the bottom, everybody was together and they supported those guys. I mean, I used to see Will Michael come to the bench, somebody do something, Will, the first person off the bench, and doing stuff like that. And this is important. So people don't understand. If you wasn't a part of it to really see it, and if you didn't go there for game, it was grueling, but it was fun. Because I know Malik hated some Saturday games. He hated it. Oh, he hated it.
Yeah.
Do you remember that picture that was taken after the state championship when everybody? I mean, it was
I got it.
Coaches. That sums it up. It was a program at that time.
It was a program because people don't understand what we did. And then when we about to get invited to the Dix game and the national ranking, I'm like, y'all stop trying to demean what these people did. I understand what the past did and what's going on now. But I mean, come on, that ride, what we went through. What we went through to get to that point, from 2013, 2014, 2015. I mean, we didn't see it coming. But it was a magic ride, and then to have everybody together like that, the community, man, it was great.
I mean, all the pieces fit together with Jason coming in when he did, and Zach coming in when they did, and I think people hate on that because they're junior transfers, but they blended into that community from day one, and they were about it in every way. You'd see them at the art show, you'd see them at the field hockey game. They weren't there to play basketball. They loved Trinity, and even Mondo going to IMG. I mean, his dad still calls me talking about Trinity and getting King into Trinity and this and this.
Right. See what I'm saying? And Mondo, and you think about it, Mondo won the national championship with IMG. The next day he had Trinity.
Yeah.
I'm like, he said, Mom. He told his mama that he wanted to get Mr. Short to get him to graduate from Trinity. Because Mondo never went to the graduation at IMG. He never did. No. He went to Trinity. He was with, what's that boy name? Zarion Pettiford?
Yeah.
All of them came back.
I see Mondo all the time. Anytime he's home, he comes to Trinity. I mean, not so much this year with COVID, but I mean,
that's great. He still comes back.
You can't keep him away.
Yeah, that was like his home. He missed it there.
It still is. There was zero bad blood him going to IMG. I mean, everybody understood it. Everybody supported it. Like, we were rooting for him. There was zero, like none.
It was zero because he told me, he said, as much as he said, I won a national championship with 2 other McDonald's All-Americans. He told me himself that it does not compare to winning the 17 championship with Trinity. He said it doesn't compare.
Really?
I said, why not? That's what he said on his mouth. He said, because he said, what we built up to get to that point.
Yeah.
He said it was to be expected when you go to IMG and you have these guys and you're suspected to win at that level. He said, but nobody didn't think we was going to beat them, and we blew them out. You talking about the WCAC conference is the toughest in America, and you beat 2 teams back to back with 10 Division I players. That got to count for something.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just me. But anyway, We
No,
won't
I
spend too
mean,
much time on that.
I'm glad you summed it up. I mean, it's going to be a debate that goes on forever. No, I guess everybody's going to have their opinions, but I mean, hey, Trinity's definitely in the conversation. I never said that, but you got a lot of teams, man, that came out of the state of Virginia that were tough. That's all I'm going to say. But
Yeah. I
look,
mean, I was from that era, so I would never do that.
It's a
but,
lot of good teams, a lot of great teams, I should say, that came out. But look, I know we got to let you go, but so real quick, I mean, we talked about everything you did athletically. So what do you like to do outside of sports? I know you talked about your other interests.
Yeah. 6 nieces and nephews, so they keep me busy. A lot of friends. We got a pool out back. We do a lot of hanging out back. I got a group of friends where we're constantly competing, whether it's in cornhole or any game we make up. I'm a social butterfly with friends, hanging out with family, play tennis still, travel.
Still competitive. Still the sports, the competitiveness will never go away.
But I tell you what, I'm almost 40 now. Thank God COVID didn't hit when I was in my 20s, because I'd have a tough time staying inside. I have no problem doing that now.
Right, for sure.
On the couch and pop it on Netflix, no problem. Or working all hours, so I stay busy. I have a fun side. A lot of people at work don't see it, but I think I still do.
Oh no, you're much more lighter than Miss Courier.
She's the best.
Did I say that?
Man. Hey, look, Anna, we really appreciate you. I mean, everything you've accomplished, what you're doing now over at Trinity. We appreciate what you're doing for the community. And again, we appreciate you spending some time with us and telling your story. We really do.
Yeah, I really enjoyed going down memory lane. When people ask me why I do what I do, it's because I say I had a really good high school experience and I need to give back to this town.
Right.
So here I am. So I'm just really enjoying it.
You know, I had a couple questions about before you go. Who was the best player in your era?
Good question.
That you saw, that you played against, and who was the best coach that you either coached against or you had to go against when you were a player?
I don't know how we missed that. Good question, Larry.
The player is by far Carol Lawson.
Ooh, okay. That's a good one.
Sophomore year at West Spring. She was West Springfield. Sorry, the ball was hitting it again.
No, that's okay.
She scored, I think she dropped like 45 that night.
I remember that. Yep.
I guarded her. So that's how good of a defender I was in high school. I dropped around 24, 25, and she did not guard me. So she was taking a break on defense. No, but I mean, by far the best player. She was sick that night too, and she still.
That was a playoff game?
Yeah, I think it was a state quarters.
State quarter, okay.
They beat us pretty good. She was she was a focused player.
Yep, I remember her in high school. Yep.
Coaching wise, I don't know. I don't think like that at all.
Uh-oh.
I really do think it's hard to assess a coach if you're not in it with them daily. Like,
that's true.
Okay.
So I guess I could put it like a game coach, you know, like Gene Atkins had this edge to her during games, but I can't speak to how she was in practice or how she motivated her.
She was saying,
right.
And maybe that's the AD in me that I don't like putting coaches in that box without knowing the full picture.
Right. Is there a game that stands out, like high school or college, that you always think, I mean, that comes to mind that you think about?
Yeah, I think it's our the state semifinal when Nadira Ali, I don't know if you guys remember this, she was a Muslim girl on our team, so she had sweatpants on all the time and she wore long sleeves. Tie ball game, clock's ticking down. I'm the point guard, so we just run 1-4. People and I kick it out to the wing and she hits the shot to win. And that's the only time in my life I've been at the bottom of a dog pile. And it was terrible. So that game, I'll forever remember that game because I just turned to her. So I said, shoot it. And you could see, but there's like a picture of me saying, shoot it. that down.
That's what I mentioned. I thought you took the shot, but it was Ali that took it.
Her.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. I remember that.
Speaking of humble and just awesome and so cool.
Mm.
That's the big one in high school. In college, I hit a shot to beat Carolina one year.
Oh, that's dope.
That the baseline. Not huge ones stand out in college, and there's so many. I just don't. Again, I don't really reflect.
Yeah, but those stand out though. Those are the ones you really remember.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, absolutely.
but they're probably so many memories that I'd love to still have in my head. They're just gone.
Look, you got your hand in so many different things. I'm surprised that you even gave us what you gave us.
I know. Me too.
Because you got your hands here.
My friends, again, are mostly not athletes, so we don't talk about this. So it's fun.
You never drop. I was Gatorade Player of the Year. You just don't. You never just throw it at them every now and then.
If I did, they would make fun of me till and that's why I love my friends.
Just come out one day when you go into the pool and just put your Gatorade State Player of the Year trophy right on the pool.
I don't
That's cool though. You stay humble. That's what we love to hear. We love to hear like everybody that's accomplished what you have done and still stays humble about it.
Yeah.
Just keeps it moving.
And that's one thing I like about Anna. She's just always been so cool and so, very approachable.
Yep.
Awesome. And easy to talk to. And and of course Malik said he loved when he was in your class, you get to watch the games and stuff like that.
My boy. Well, you keep me in check if I ever change.
No, I don't think you will. I think that's just the way you were raised and brought up, and you just keep that in you. And again, we appreciate your time and
thanks for having me.
For sure. I mean, the stories were great. What you're doing now is amazing, giving back to the community, you said, and we really appreciate it.
Y'all need to get Megan Walker on here.
Megan. oh, Megan is too busy.
Megan, who? You want to get her on?
He said Megan Walker.
Oh no, she's too busy right now.
Yeah, she's too busy. Megan.
But you know what?
See her.
No, but you know what, Anna? We did talk about getting Kara Lawson on though. We talked about getting her on.
That woman has no idea who I am. I mean,
no, that's okay. We talked. She was one of our guests that.
She is so on another level. I'm looking forward to see what she does with Duke. Honestly.
Oh, I can't wait for that.
I think she'll be okay, but they shut down early, didn't they? I think they shut down.
They did.
They're not playing. Just what she does is just you just see through the videos and just even with her commentary on TV.
Yeah.
Oh, she was amazing with the Wizards, man. Oh
I would be interested to know if she has that other side of her, or if she has always kind of been dialed in on basketball and that's been her thing. And I know she's married. I don't know if she has kids, but I would love to know what the other side of Kara Lawson is, because she seems to me like a very basketball was it, and I eat, sleep, and breathe it. But maybe
I
don't know her, so I'd be intrigued by that.
And most players that play for Pat Summitt are wired that way. Just notice a lot of players that play for her. So hopefully she does have another side as a coach, but she might be wired differently. So I don't know.
I always found it interesting that Pat Summitt, I don't think Kara was one of these people, but Pat Summitt preferred recruiting kids from broken homes.
Oh, really?
They were just tougher. She liked single parent homes.
Right.
Okay.
They were tough.
Yeah,
kids.
You think about that.
Yeah, it does think. Maybe. Yeah, I think you think about it. It's maybe not. I think Candace Parker was the only one. And she was dunking in high school.
You're right about that, though. You're right, because she did. Because a lot of players they did come from a lot of single parent homes. She did.
I think in her first book she said that. And I don't know if she went out looking for him, or once she found it and she found out, she'd be like, "Yeah, give me that kid." I don't know how that kid, but it makes sense. There's just a toughness about certain circumstance. So
how long do you think Gino sticks around? Do you think he'll be?
I don't think he's done anytime soon.
Yeah, I don't either. I think he's going to be around.
As the game continues to change, though, because I'm hearing from college coaches that parents are in college coaches' ears too.
Oh, really?
I think if that continues to get worse, isn't that crazy? Yeah.
What?
Crazy.
I would never think they would get to that level.
It's crazy. So I think if the game continues to change and he has to deal with some new age headaches, maybe that would run him out. But Lord knows he has a job up there. We played up there one year. I mean, they are treated like gold.
Oh yeah,
I can imagine.
How'd that go? Who was on UConn that year? You remember?
Yeah, it was the year they were undefeated with the Sue Bird, Taurasi, Twin Cats to make the
win. You guys played against them? Wow.
Yeah, no, so we're the 8 seed and they're the 1 seed. So we
Okay.
Yeah, I remember that.
We lost to the 9 seed, so we didn't have to play them.
Oh yeah, play them. Okay.
Well.
Thank God. I mean,
Y'all would've said
I
you
remember
probably didn't want to play
Selection
that
Sunday,
game.
it came out, and we were all
Everyone's
like,
like,
"Oh shit!"
Let's just go ahead and lose this game. We don't even want to play.
Oh my goodness, that was like probably
Jesus.
his best team ever for sure.
It really
I think.
was. I think it was.
Oh
2000.
yeah, I agree.
Oh
with that.
my goodness! Wow.
Yep. And then the next year we get the 8 seed and we go to Knoxville and we do beat the 9 that year and we play
Tennessee.
Lawson again.
Okay.
Got our butt beat in
You played in high school and college. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Killed us both times. Killed me both
Yeah,
times.
you know, she's a coach. Yeah, she's just different, man. She's just wired different, man. When she's on that court, it's like a switch.
Yeah.
She's like, just turn on and she just
Yeah.
Yeah. For sure.
Next level.
40. There you go.
I lost
0
it
to
a little
40.
bit in college. I had that in high school, but I lost it somewhere along the line.
You got to college, you just
She still seems focused on it, honestly.
Yeah.
So
She does.
yeah.
Yeah, but like I said, but you just like I said, when you got your hand and everything and you well rounded, like you said, you know, it takes you away from what we know you for.
Yeah.
And we get to know you as a totally different person.
Yep,
So that's
sure.
that's the dope part about
I think there's
that.
a strength and confidence behind that too. You know, like whatever happens here is fine because I still got my people behind me regardless.
Absolutely,
You know,
for sure.
There's a lot of strength that you get from that. So
Absolutely.
I'm gonna stick with it for now.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if your
Don't
family
ever change.
don't ever change. But every now and then, just let them know, hey, I was Gatorade State Player of the Year in 2000. That's all.
See,
2000 t-shirt.
Like 21 years ago. They don't care. It's
Throwback.
okay.
Yeah, throwback now. That's funny.
No, Anna, seriously, we appreciate you. Thanks a lot.
Fun. Thanks for having me.
we appreciate you coming on. And I'm just like, thank you so much. And like you said, thank you for being great to my kid. Thank you for being for me. You know, thank you for coming on. And,
Yeah.
you know,
This is great.
I don't know what to say.
We'll see you
I'm just
around,
feeling
Larry,
that.
once we open the doors again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been in the gym front row, bottom, you know.
Good. I'm looking forward to it.
Hopefully you guys will get a team back to how you had it. Hopefully you get some.
I miss it. We had an inter squad tonight. The boys were playing for senior night just against each other. And
Okay, good.
that still gives me the itch. Like, we got to get this place popping. And we're
Yeah.
all,
Oh man,
There's
yeah,
no-
COVID sucks.
you know,
Yeah,
we're
get it
playing
back.
Benedictine and the whole place is packed and it's hot. It's just, there's nothing
Oh,
like
man,
it.
That's nice.
No, it's nothing like that atmosphere. Nothing like it.
It's awesome. Well, we'll see you there, Larry. Thanks for having me, y'all.
Sponsored by Transitions Empowerment.